Alan, you texted me yesterday.
No, I asked you what was that movie name so I could look it up.
Oh, have you seen this film?
I've not seen this one, no.
Oh,
but
well,
I do want to see it. Yeah, based on what you told me, I want to see this movie.
Okay. Let me tell you about The Zone of Interest, which is directed by Jonathan Glazer. The Zone of Interest is a very interesting approach. Let me lay out the simple premise. We meet a family. We meet the patriarch of the family, who is an officer in the he is a Nazi during World War II in Germany. And this is based on real events. So he's a Nazi commandant, right? And he works at Auschwitz. It's his day job. The home where his family lives, his children, daughters, sons, and his wife, they all live in this house that's literally directly over the wall from Auschwitz. Every day, Dad gets dressed up as a Nazi and goes to work. We never actually see anything happening in Auschwitz, anything in the camp. And we see the family go about their daily lives. They have birthdays, they prepare meals, they play in the yard, they get the children ready to go to school, and they're all contained in this home, which we don't leave all that often. They go swimming in the brook. They do playful activities in the fields surrounding Auschwitz, but pretty much the film is contained in this home. The way that Jonathan Glazer went about shooting this movie is that he shot it like a documentary. So he hired these actors that were supposed to do certain things, say certain lines, but he set up cameras secretly in certain rooms. So they would just go about these actions and there would be no specific, like a scene where it's the camera cuts to here and there's drama. No, it's you're basically a fly on the wall watching a family go about this business. And many of the things that they're doing are everyday family things that you could consider kind of mundane. And the Nazi commandant, he may be moved to a different position. He might have to leave Auschwitz and go somewhere else. So there's a little bit of family drama there between the commandant and his wife. Here's the thing that this movie will wear on you, and why, if you're going to see this movie, I recommend seeing it in a theater for this reason, is the sound design. The sound design for this film is absolutely horrific because all these mundane family events, birthdays and happy events and, loving conversations between a husband and a wife and, work strife, I've got to go to work, blah, blah, blah. It's like simple kind of things that you would see in any movie, a drama about a family. But you're hearing in the background the sound coming out of Auschwitz. You're hearing these giant furnaces burning the bodies. You're hearing shotguns as people are murdered in Auschwitz. This is looming in the background of every single scene in the film. You'll hear the sound of maybe a prisoner escaping and then being gunned down. And it's the constant sound of like it's this ambient sound, kind of like you would hear, if you watch a science fiction movie, you hear like this sound of like ambient sound, like on the bridge of the Enterprise, or it's just always there to the point where you don't hear it. The characters are blissfully unaware and don't hear anything because they're so used to it. But the opening of the film is this, you're in 3 minutes of black. So it has kind of a, an overture, but it's an overture of a wall of sound that is haunting. And then you just see this movie go about its everyday business, see the characters in the movie go about their everyday business with, in the background, this horrific wall of audio. I can't say that I loved the movie in the sense that I enjoyed watching it. I did not enjoy the act of watching this movie. I thought it very difficult. But what Jonathan Glazer was trying to achieve is horrific. It's like witnessing the mundaneness of evil. And just the people who work at a concentration camps. It's a job just like anything else. It's just a day job, right? You go about your business. you know, uh, participating in a genocide.
So you're
It's a
saying
whole
that it was difficult to watch, but that sounds like that was the point.
exactly. It was difficult to watch. That was the point. It reminds me, and the movie, by the way, is hour 45 minutes, doesn't overstay its welcome. It didn't feel too long. It felt just about the right length, but it reminds me of, I'm reminded of an interview with Jean-Luc Godard, the French New Wave filmmaker, who once said, I remember reading this and never left me. It just like this, an impression in college, learning about the French New Wave and seeing the films of Jean-Luc Godard, like Breathless, um, among others. And he said if he ever made, he wanted to make a movie about the Holocaust. But he said if he made a movie about the Holocaust, he would make it about the people who worked in the offices and the file clerks and just make it incredibly boring. The people who just kept track of all the statistics and documented everything. And it would be an incredibly boring movie. He wouldn't show any of the horrors. He would show the everyday people who just worked at a concentration camp. This is what this movie does. And it's rough to see this. It's so rough to see this now. I really walked out of the screening of this movie because thankfully I did see this on the big screen. I did not go, I didn't watch a screener of this film on my television. And I just needed a moment. It was one of those things where by the end of the movie, when you're thinking about you just get used to the sound. You get used to the sound of people being murdered in the background. And that was the point. So in some ways, it's kind of an experimental film. So another movie I would recommend with a warning. It's not a pleasant film to see, but it's an important film. And highly rated on Rotten Tomatoes, over 90%, 95% Metacritic, 8.1 on IMDb. The audience, it's not a movie that audiences are going to rush to see. Do you have any thoughts on that, Alan?
Yeah, I'm even more intrigued, and now I'm gonna have to seek a theater out and not watch the screener I got sent.
Yeah, I would see this in a theater.